Namaskaram. One of the Hanna actually contacted me and then asked me that a question is bugging him for nearly a week. So what actually happened is he met a beggar on the street, and then when he was about to help, a thought came in his mind that how I can overcome the expectation that if I help the beggar, I might get benefited in the future. So there was a certain sense of expectation that, most of the people are always saying that if you do good, you will get good. If you do bad, you'll get bad. So as Sadhguru has mentioned that karma is not like that, you do something in the expectation of doing good or something like that. The one of the issue that why we cannot overcome the expectation. For example, the Seep Soul movement is on, and many people who have been following Sadhguru, not only Sadhguru but his movement, the events he's conducting with large amount of people all over the Europe and now entering the Middle East. We know that the significance and the urgency why we need to make Safe Soil movement the success. So in this context, if people know that they have a clarity why this is important, they would, fortunately, they will be part of it. But most of the people are still thinking that, why should I do it? They are always looking from like, what will I get? The expectation is there. And so how to overcome this? He said that like it has been bugging him for a week. I cannot let go of this thought that, I'm helping him be still because I have expectation that I'm going to get something in the future. If in case I'll become a beggar myself, possibly whatever I've given, I'll get it back. So one of the main reasons why people get caught in this one is because almost all the population in the world, the people in the world, everyone has been grown up in certain way that you have to become superior than others. You have to become number one. You have to become most powerful, most rich, most popular, whatever, but you have to be better than somebody else. This has been taught. And at the same time, the parents, the society also expects you to become selfless. So these two are like a completely contradictory. And it's actually paradoxical that like you want to become better than somebody else, and at the same time you want to become selfless. So how to overcome this? Because if you think like this, it's impossible to become selfless as well as to become superior than others, because superiority basically means you want to become above others. If you want to become above others, how you can become selfless? So this is a big problem. Now, Sadhguru has mentioned that if you have watched some of his videos, in some of the discourse or some of the Q&A session, he has mentioned that selflessness is actually just the word. There is no such thing as selflessness. There is just self, and self. For example, if you want something for your own greed or something, we understand that is selfishness. But at the same time, what most of the people think as a selflessness is not actually the selflessness, but the selfishness of the highest order. Because what Sadhguru says is, for him, he experiences everybody as himself, not only the humans, but all the beings, whatever form they are. So in his experience in the state of where Sadhguru is, for him, the question of selfishness or selflessness doesn't actually exist, but just for the sake of communication, he uses the word of selfishness of the highest order, because your selfishness has become so much that you include everyone rather than discriminating based on your likes and dislikes. You just include everyone. That's why Sadhguru says that, like, if you just want to have the selfishness of your own, you are going very slow. He says you are becoming conjuice. You are actually becoming stint on your selfishness. And not only that, you also use that another terminology which most of the people may not like. He says is the constipated life. You just want to have a little bit more very slow progression, but life is very slow. So coming back to the context, so if you are in the state of the yoga, the question of selfishness or selflessness does not arise. You just do whatever you could do at given situation, scenario, and best of your abilities. That is what you do. But if you have not arrived to that clarity, then the best is, you saw a beggar, for example, hypothetically. For example, it happened to me also in the past. I used to think that if I help him, if he's actually needed, if I help him, it is going to help him. But at the same time, like different thoughts will come into the mind. You will think that if I help him, most other people will also try to become a beggar, and then they'll just make a living. And there are like certain stories I've read in the news, watched in the TV, that most of the beggars are actually built 3-4 story houses just by begging. So I don't want to generalize. This is the way the mind works. It's not our task to analyze whether what they are going to do with the money. They are genuine beggars. There will be few people who can be lazy. I cannot judge that, but or they just found it as a business model also. I'm not arguing that. It's quite possible also, but it's not about what we do or the reasoning on why we should do. But the main thing is just if the clarity is not there, just like I mentioned, Sadhguru or anyone who has come to the clarity that there's no difference between the you and then the other, the union. If you have not experienced that, then the best thing is, if you meet a beggar, then either you give if you can, if you cannot give, but just forget it immediately. Because if you give the money and then you think about, oh, I've done a good deed, and then you think about, I'll get something in the future, you have actually created a karma. And in the same way, if you give the money, don't give the money, let's say you are unable to give the money, and you still think about positive or negative thing, analyzing, I should have given it, I should not have given it, all these kind of things, that is also going to create karma, and in some cases it can actually multiply it also. So the best thing is, if you donate, if you can give the money out, you give the money and forget about it. If you cannot give the money, you don't give the money, you forget about it. Because thinking is not going to make any difference existentially. It will just, if you keep on thinking, it will just create the more stronger impression in your system. And that's how the karma is built up and creates the momentum for the next action. So same thing applies with the Safe Soil also. Safe Soil program, Safe Soil movement also. So if you think, but this is completely different from the previous example of a beggar, because here it's not the stake of a single individual life, but the Safe Soil movement, here it's the entire life in this planet, at least that depends on the soil. Majority of them, not only majority, all of them, including humans, it's in the risk of getting extinct. So it is very necessary that we do the best of our abilities. If you get caught into the thought that I should do it or I should not do it, will I get something or in return or something? If you get that in mind, it's better you check out the facts, because this is directly related with your existence also. Because if you do not act, you have to live through the consequences. And not only that, your parents, your children, the next generation, they all have to face this. So let's make it happen. Namaskar.